So we now have one more thing that confirms the fact that everything in Australia is trying to fucking kill you. And once again is why I profess that every one of my Australian brothers and sisters are bad motherfuckers. The Dry is brought to us by director Robert Conley and stars Eric Bana. We follow Aaron, played by Eric Bana, a renowned detective or agent or something. I don't know, he's law enforcement, that's for sure, and he's renowned in Melbourne. Upon receiving the news that his childhood best friend has committed the murder-suicide of his family, he returns home for the funeral. When his friend's parents ask him to follow up on the case because they don't believe that he would have done that to his family, he is reluctant at first. But after noticing some inconsistencies in the stories that he's heard about the situation, he decides to take on the case. Further complicating things, Aaron is not exactly loved in this town. You see, the reason that he and his dad left town when he was an older teen was because there was a young girl who turned up dead at a creek and he was one of the suspects. And this is a small town and small towns don't forget shit, so people are kind of hesitant to talk to him, seeing as how a lot of them have just kind of pegged him as the reason that this young girl died all those years ago. So from there we go down this twisty turny road to see if Aaron's friend Luke actually did commit this murder-suicide or if there was something more nefarious at work here. And also how this murder-suicide could possibly be connected to a 20-year-old cold case. The Dry is based on a book by writer Jane Harper. I read a lot of books, but I have not read this one. Detective crime thriller books are not really my thing. I like the movies, but the books I just haven't ever really gotten into. So as far as going into this movie, I was going in totally blind. The premise is really interesting. There's a lot of doubt set up from the get-go. There's lots of interesting characters and moving parts in this story. This is not a movie you can like step away from or have going on in the background. You gotta pay attention to what's going on here. There's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of things that they call back to throughout the story. And it was all pretty damn interesting. I really enjoyed this story. One of the things that made the story so enjoyable was the fantastic performances all around. No weak links. Everybody did a fantastic job, but the spotlight is clearly on Eric Bana and he does not disappoint. Bana kind of fell off the map, or at least for me, for quite a while. I haven't seen the guy. I don't know what he's been doing, but he comes back here with a banger of a performance. This is a very subtle and subdued performance. There's none of those moments where he gets to like blow up and just like get his Oscar-winning moment or anything. But that's not to say it's bad. This is actually a very nuanced performance. Bana seems to say just as much with his facial expressions and body language as he does with his dialogue. This is a great part for him to showcase that the guy's actually got some really good range. It's never over the top or unbelievable or anything like that. It's all very realistic and believably done. And that goes for everybody here. The performances in this movie absolutely sell the show. Now this is a crime drama thriller and having great performances absolutely helps, but if you don't have that really neat, interesting, twisty-turny story, it's not gonna work. And The Dry absolutely has a lot of twists and turns. I will say that I didn't know who did it until we found out. The movie did a great job of not pointing the finger at one single person. A lot of these types of movies will do that a lot of the time, and you typically know if the movie's pointing the finger straight at this person and really ramming it home, it's not them. No, the movie just kind of points the finger at fucking everybody, so you're never totally sure. And when you finally figure out who it was that did it, you're like, oh shit, well yeah, that makes sense. Now concerning that reveal, while I will say I liked it and I enjoyed the ending of this movie, it wasn't quite as grand as I had hoped. Which I mean, I guess that kinda leans into the more believable part of the story, but that theatric side of me was hoping for something a little bit more grandiose. But that's not to say that the ending and how it all plays out isn't entertaining and satisfying. It really is. The most interesting thing about this movie is that it's not just about one case. It's actually about two cases that are going on at the same time, but in different time periods. And yes, of course, we do get both of these cases solved for the most part. Now, this movie is also a slow burn. This isn't like action-packed or anything like that. So if you're not one for slow burns, then just stay away from this movie. It's really good and it's really interesting and I really did enjoy my time with it. But it is very dialogue-heavy, story-focused, and slow. Now, once again, slow burn does not equal bad, but it's not for everybody. I would not be surprised if some people found this type of story storytelling to be boring. Myself, I didn't, I enjoyed it, but some people are going to be bored with this. On a side note, is there a thing in Australia about killing dogs and like throwing them at people or like leaving them on people's porches? Because that shit happens a couple of times in this movie. Is that a thing? What the fuck, Australia? Do you not like dogs? I thought dogs were kind of like a big deal down there. I thought you guys liked dogs. Is that like the ultimate offense down there? Because whenever they're wanting to like offend someone in this movie, they kill a fucking dog and put it somewhere that the person will find it. So I guess also dog lovers, be prepared because that shit's in this movie. You may have noticed I haven't gone into a whole lot of detail about the story, and that's because it would ruin the whole thing. Experiencing this story yourself is what this movie's all about. And overall, I really enjoyed the story and execution of The Dry. Guys, at the end of the day, I can't really say that much more about The Dry without giving something away, and I absolutely don't want to do that. I will say that it is absolutely worth seeing, especially if you're into the crime drama thriller scene. While it is a bit of a slow burn and the ending isn't quite as grandiose as that theatrical side of me would like, it's got some great performances, and the really interesting story will scratch that crime thriller itch that's been getting on your nerves, and it's absolutely worth a rent.
All he wanted was this.
I have to return some videotape.
This is a very solidly made, entertaining flick. And if you're okay with the slow burn of it all and you're looking for a good crime thriller for the night, then check out The Dry, and I think you'll have a pretty good time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of The Dry. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Melbourne.
You're obsessed with it. It's a revenge trip.
We had one chance. To get the truth.
Now real quick, I do want to talk more specifically about a part of this movie. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm going to keep it all vague. But I do want to point out, there's a character in this movie that does themselves in, if you will. And the way that this character chooses to do it has to be like the absolute most painful fucking worst way you could ever imagine doing it. And I don't really know why this character would decide to go this route. While taking your own life is a bad thing unto itself, if it's going to happen, given all the options, the way that this character decides to do it, who in the hell would pick that? I mean, I get if there's not like a firearm around to do it quickly, but Jesus Christ, what this person picks is like the absolute worst way I think you could go out. I mean, maybe it was because this character felt as if they deserved it and that's why they went that way, but damn, I think, I don't know, even if I thought I deserved it, I don't know if I'd do that. I feel like the whole death thing as a whole would be enough of a penance. I mean, that's just me. Maybe I'm being selfish.